I cannot believe that it is time for another works in progress video. It seems that I was just filming one of these not that long ago with my good buddy Tiggs. Here, give him here. He came shooting over as soon as I started talking. So, you know how this goes. He just wants to be the star of the show, and he's ornery, and it's cold outside and there's snow, so he says, "Hey, let's have fun at the sewing table." But he's gonna have to move it on. But whenever he pops up here, I gotta scoop him up quick so that he can say hi. He just wants to frisk. Okay, we'll move him out. We'll get back to our works in progress. There he goes. As I was saying, I feel like we were just filming one of these works in progress videos not that long ago. And in all honesty, I have not finished up any of my works in progress since we last chatted. I don't think that I have. But I still have some things that I can share with you. I will show you my socialites blocks. I have finished a couple of those. And unfortunately, I found some more works in progress blocks that I had forgotten that I had. So I'm going to show you some of those as well. So, and a fun giveaway because I'm going to cheat a little bit to finish up one of my works in progress. So stick around and I'll show you all the things and then we'll have a fun little giveaway. So we are going to start with this Dresden quilt block that you might have seen me holding when you clicked on the video. And this is a little stack of blocks, if you look down here at my cutting table, of Dresden quilt blocks that I found in my linen closet just this week. And they aren't stored in my usual spot. I have quilts in there, but they're finished quilts. I don't really store unfinished projects, but I was looking for something else and I found a little stack of quilting bee blocks in that closet. So I have some more that I'm going to be sharing with you in a later video, but I thought these would be really pretty to show here. I think they were probably made in about 2010. I'd have to go look at the blog post. I'm going to link to the blog post where I first chatted about these blocks because they were, as I said, quilting bee blocks, and I was sharing that I was gathering up my fabrics, and I shared the ruler that I was going to be using to make these blades for this Dresden block, and it has some good information there. There is no specific pattern that we used for this block, but by using that ruler, you can make a Dresden with blades this size. Different Dresdens have different skinniness or thickness of these, and it will result in many blades or fewer blades, just depending on how wide your ruler is or your template is for your Dresden blocks. I'm just going to start flipping through these. In 2010, I dived into quilting bees, and I think one of those years, 2010, 11, 12, I was just in so many different quilting bees, and so I have various stacks of quilting bee blocks that need sewn together into quilt tops. And it's not because I don't love these blocks, it's just I haven't gotten around to sewing them together. And this is a stack of blocks that I really like. I think that one year I was in 7 different blocks, and so I've just got so many different stacks of quilting bee blocks. I looked before I started filming this video to see there used to be really easy ways to join in on quilting bees, and they worked in different ways. Sometimes, well, there was different themes for the bees. There were different numbers of members for the bees. And there was, I think there was a website, Quilting Bee Blocks. Don't go there. I'm sure it's not still in use, but there had been a website that you could go to join quilting bees. And on Flickr, some of you may remember the Flickr days of the online quilting world, you could join quilting bees, but that doesn't seem to be the case anymore. The way bees work, if you're not familiar with them, is you are grouped together into maybe oftentimes 12 members total, so that each member has a different month that they are in charge of. So during my month in this quilting bee, I send out all of these fabrics to the other 11 members. They made me a block and then they sent the blocks back to me. And so I end up, once I make one of my own, having 12 blocks total to turn into a quilt. Sometimes I was in different quilting bees where I was in one that was a red and aqua bee. So all of the blocks in that bee were made with red and aqua fabrics. I was in a paper piecing bee. So they were all made using paper piece. We drew up our own patterns and did different cute paper pieced blocks. I was in an English paper piecing hexagon one, just so many different quilting bees. But I think now your best bet for joining quilting bees would be to check with your local quilt shop to see if that might be a program that they have, or get together with a group of ladies in maybe a quilting guild that you participate in. There's just, at least as far as I can see, you can correct me if you know of a great spot to join quilting bees. It just doesn't seem that there's as much available online as there were in years past. And that is the last one. I did want to point out, when I start to sew these together, I'm planning on just sewing them directly together, no sashing in between. But I will probably want to go ahead and trim out everything behind the applique portions of these Dresdens. I know I saw one as I was, here we go. Let me just get this one over here. This one has everything trimmed out behind the Dresden. So it's just one layer of fabric. And this is a little bit nicer than, say, this one, for example, that doesn't have anything trimmed out. You can a little bit see, probably especially if I hold this, well, I don't know. I can see polka dots echoing through the fabric, but I don't know if you can see that. Once I trim out the back, you won't be able to see this fabric showing through anywhere at all. So I'll probably need to go ahead and trim out all of that before sewing them together, but then it's just going to be just a straight setting. I'll probably do 3x4, 3 blocks across, 4 blocks down, and maybe add a border. I'll have to see what I still have in my stash of these fabrics. They are a little bit different from fabrics that you might see me using now, but it's still the warm colors that I like using. They're just a little bit more modern, large florals. And I think it's really pretty, and I'm excited to have that one finished. And it wouldn't take me long to finish. It just needs to get done. So it's not just setting in block form. We might as well just get this done. Now, I mentioned that this Dresden does not have a pattern. There are a lot of great free Dresden patterns in all sizes. Little, big, lots of cute Dresdens. But this one behind me, I did write a pattern for and released with my Strawberry Jam line of fabric. This is called Plain and Fancy, and it's just such a cute one to make. And I love it with the Ohio Star in the center. It uses a layer cake, and it finishes at 52 by 66. So I wanted to point this one out because I think it's just beautiful. And if you've never tried making a Dresden quilt before, or even a Dresden block, you could always start with a pillow or a runner or something small. But making the block itself is much simpler than you think that it will be when you just look at it. Now this one is a little bit more work because it has the pieced center, but something like this is much simpler than you think that it's going to be. There are templates or rulers for those blades, and it streamlines the process quite a bit. And I remember when I made my first Dresden, I was probably a little bit intimidated to make it, but it was so much easier than I thought that it was going to be. So definitely one to give a whirl if you haven't tried it before. Okay, let's move on to socialites. I have 3 socialites blocks finished since we last chatted, and these have been fun. I've just barely been staying caught up on this quilt along. I mentioned that I didn't get very many of my works in progress done, and it's because I have been working on quilt tops for my next fabric line. I have more fabrics, new fabrics that you're going to see, I think, in March. And so over the last probably week and a half, I have almost completed 5 quilt tops. And so it's not that I haven't been busy, it's just I haven't been busy making things that I can share quite yet. But I still have plenty of things to show you. Let's look at these socialites blocks. These 3 little cuties are the most recent ones that we have finished. And I had so much fun. I fussy cut each one of these centers. The little bee the little bee, and I have another block that I will be putting another little bee in the center. I think it's just so cute. And then even this little floral print I fussy cut here as well. The little bees are from Springbrook and, oh no, just Springbrook. And then some of the other fabrics are Buttercup and Slate, which I am mixing in with the Springbrook fabrics. And I wanted to mention this square and a square paper because it has been so handy for these little 3-inch blocks that have the small teeny little square and a square. These are 1-inch finished, and so they are teeny. But this paper, this is a product made by It's So Emma. You can pick it up at quilt shops locally or online, and it's just such a nice way. It's a paper piecing method to make these little square and a square blocks, and it's been so nice. So I wanted to mention that. I've mentioned that on my blog that I've been using this paper. There are different sizes that you would need to use for the different sized blocks. It depends on which size square and a square unit you're making. So this is the 1-inch finished, which is what I'm using, but then there would be 2-inch finished or 3-inch finished, just depending on the size that you need. And it's been such a nice product to use for these. Okay, so socialites, check. And now the last project that I'm gonna share with you, this is my little cheating to get a project finished, or at least finished by somebody else. These are fabrics that have been cut and fabrics that have been partially assembled. If you watched any of my Scrappy Irish Chain videos, I think in the one I shared choosing fabrics for Scrappy Irish Chain, I talked about some of these fabrics and showed them a little bit. And as I was doing so, I thought, you know, this is a project that I am probably not going to get finished. And so when I knew I was going to be filming this video, I thought, hey, let's maybe just move this on to a new home. These fabrics were all ones that I picked up at a quilt shop a couple hours away from me. And they're just a variety of designers and fabric companies in sort of dusty shades of red and blue and taupe. And I think they're really pretty together. And I started cutting and working. There's some laundry basket quilts. I think we have some French General in there. Just a really pretty mix of fabrics. At least I think so. I think they're really pretty. I started piecing some of the blocks. So it's kind of this granny square sort of block. And I've cut everything. I think I've cut everything out. It's very possible that there might still need to be cutting. I didn't go look to see, compare with the pattern, what exactly I still needed. But I think I would like to move this on to a new home. The pattern is the confetti cake pattern by Margot Designs, the pattern basket. And I will include that pattern and then include the fabrics that are the strips and squares that are cut, include these extra fabrics, the blocks I've pieced. And if this is something that you think you would like to finish and put to good use, I am going to open up a giveaway over on my blog, corianderquilts.com. I will have that linked in the description box below. And as long as that blog post doesn't say giveaway closed, you are welcome to enter, and I'll choose a winner to receive this little bundle of goodies. Now you do need to enter over on my blog. A comment here on the YouTube video won't work, so do enter over on the blog and I will be happy to move this on to a new home. It's always fun to me to let somebody else enjoy the fabrics or blocks or whatever it might be that I know I'm not going to use. And if you find yourself in the same boat where you have works in progress that you know you're not going to complete, and you know somebody else might enjoy your unfinished project to finish on their own, you might consider giving away yours too. I will sometimes do giveaways like this, or I have some various other spots that I can donate projects to as well. So it's always fun for me to move it on out, and it's nice too to kind of lighten your works in progress load, because sometimes we just have those hanging over our heads for a little bit too long. So I'll be glad to get those moved on out. That's the last thing I have to share with you today. There are some projects that I know that I still want to get done. I need to do my coriander Christmas block. I think I've said that in the last probably 3 videos of the works in progress. I haven't actually made another one. I just keep saying I need to make another one. So that's always something to work on. I will continue working on my scrappy Irish chain blocks, and I've got some deadlines that I need to meet as well. So that's where my head is at this month. I will check back in next month and see what we have. Have we finished any Dresden plate quilt, or is that still just blocks? I don't know. We'll see what happens. Let me know what you've been working on, what you finished, what you didn't finish. We're all working at our own pace here, but sometimes it's fun to have encouragement and just to know that as quilters, we all have projects we want to work on. Sometimes we get a chance to, and other times we don't, and that is just fine. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you again next time.